So it finally happened. We finally have our working men's Leatherman, the Bibury, or whatever the hell this is. Folks, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. If you've been following my channel, my content for any period of time, you know that for me, the multi-tool is the instrument for survival, for preparedness. In the world we live in, there's nothing that comes close to the practicality of having a multi-tool. Yes, a dedicated folder is of course better, and by all means go with both. If you can have both, if you're gonna have a multi-tool and a folder, have both. I will go with a multi-tool if I can only have one option. The multi-tool will do those things that the knife does because you actually have a very decent blade in any good multi-tool. You actually have a couple nice blades in your multi-tool. And over the years, and it's gonna be about 2 decades now that I had either this one or something very similar in my pocket pretty much all the time, it just gets you out of trouble. It just gets the job done when you need it. Sure, if I can complement this with a small flashlight and of course having your wallet, your cell phone, but specifically talking about the thing to have, having a multi-tool. Over the years, this has been a lifesaver in so many occasions. And not just lifesaver, honestly, most of the time is little things that need to be done. I mean, at times, yes, there's been a little bit more serious issues like fixing your car in the middle of a road and there's no help around, so it could be, kind of a daunting issue to deal with. But if you can fix it yourself, even better. So over the years, I've had my Leatherman charge with me. This is the one I've carried the most. Now replaced, this is just because of a sentimental reason, my titanium charge, which I think is the original one that first came out, has been replaced by a more modern one. This is just, the same thing, just a little bit more practical and less titanium, more aluminum, but just as useful, just as practical. Now, the issue with multi-tools is that unlike folders where you always have some affordable alternative, there hasn't been really, up until now, an alternative version of this. There's a bunch of multi-tools, people like Gerber, people like a bunch of other stuff, but something as useful as the ultimate multi-tool, which is the Leatherman Wave, or the fancier version, which is the Leatherman Charge, there simply hasn't been anything like that. And I've known people that are more than happy with having other options. For example, I know of a guy that is very much okay with having a Victorinox and little pliers like these ones. These are Knipex pliers. These are excellent. Actually, these are more powerful and more useful than the pliers in your Leatherman. So if specifically you want good pliers, maybe this combo or maybe something like this with a smaller Victorinox gets the job done. I actually saw a video from a guy that had a little Victorinox and his Cobras pliers. And he made a very good point about how, in terms of cost, in terms of weight and size and so on, it was just better for him. And I won't argue against that. The thing is that for me, in my experience, this has always been it. The amount of tools that I have here, having the saw, having the file, having the diamond coated file, and pretty much everything that I have here has been so useful over the years, I just cannot part with it. But when it comes down to doing these videos, the content, you're talking about a $200 multi-tool, $250. You have like half a grand worth of metal multi-tool in these two. The Wave is not all that cheap, or $100, $150. So it is expensive. And whenever you wanted to go with something cheaper, what you ended up coming across was, well, usually a nice compromise with some of the cheaper Leathermans. These used to be a lot cheaper. With the current prices, man, they're not that cheap anymore. And if you want to go with a knockoff copy, somewhat of these things, you ended up with something like this: bulky, poorly designed, tools are kind of crappy, not all that great. Victorinox has some great multi-tools, but they've always come short in terms of having the clip, single hand opening. They kind of got close that gap a little bit with some of their new iterations of the Spirit X or whatnot. It just isn't as good as Leatherman until at least in my take. Single-handed opening, yeah, it opens single-handed. Is this as good? No, it's kind of crappy the way you engage there. You actually have to use either your nail or your thumb, so it's not as good. But that has finally ended because the patent for Leatherman has finally expired, and now they can make clones, legal clones of these tools. I did a video about this one, the Swiss Tech tool, which is pretty much a Leatherman wave, and it's just beautifully executed. It is very finely made. Everything just works very smoothly. So you have your blade like in your Leatherman, you have your other blade like in your Leatherman, all things working pretty much exactly like in your Leatherman. You have your saw, you have your diamond coated file, right? So again, it's a clone of the Leatherman because again, there's no longer exclusivity, the patent has expired, right? You have your pliers, same bit, same everything. There's a little bit of a difference. Instead of having that flat bit thing, they go with a full size, which is something that a lot of people really, really wanted instead of having something that's exclusive. And you just sacrifice that exchangeable small bit. Then you have the rest of the stuff, your can opener, wire stripper. It's just a small single-sided screwdriver flat instead of having the Phillips one. Scissors and your flat screwdriver. So it is pretty much the Leatherman Charge at less than a quarter. It's just 25 bucks for this thing. Swiss Tech, and Swiss Tech is still somewhat of a little bit of a recognized name brand, so I like that too, that I know about Swiss Tech. Now, the thing I didn't like is that you don't have the pocket clip, the all-important pocket clip, and not only that, unfortunately, they didn't plan ahead and leave the gap for the clip that you can buy from Leatherman so as to install it there. That would have been a smart thing to do, but unfortunately, they didn't copy all of it exactly like so. But that finally ends with a Bibury, whatever this thing is, Bibury multi-tool plier, right? Which is the exact same thing. And notice how even the photo doesn't show the real thing. I actually saw it in Amazon. I leave links for all of this stuff, whatever else you want to buy, whatever your budget allows. So yeah, I also leave the links for my books, 2 Survival Skills, Surviving the Economic Collapse. These are pretty important given everything we're going on now. And in 2 Survival Skills, they cover a lot of EDC, self-defense, practical stuff regarding survival and preparedness. And yeah, there's dedicated chapters on EDC and so on. So if you want to learn more about all of this stuff, there's the book, the link there below. I'll leave links for whatever it is that I find in terms of the multi-tools, but I was watching the Amazon article, and even there, they didn't show the true picture that includes the pocket clip. They added this recently, and they didn't add it. They didn't change the photo. So the thing is this, you now have exactly what you want in your Leatherman Wave, in your Leatherman Charge. It's a clone. You have even your little sheath, and it even has a small pocket here for some more bits if you want to adjust this. This is what you have. You could throw in a couple more of the ones you use most often, but anyway, you have the alternative of having this little sheath so as to have it in your belt and the clip and so on. So this, nice. But for me, the real treat is having the clip in the tool itself. This is why I like the Leatherman Wave. This is why I want the clip. It allows me to just throw it in my jeans, throw it in my pants, in my pocket, and just have the clip, have the single hand opening, the single hand closing, and that is what makes this the best multi-tool. This makes the best multi-tool. The waves, the charge, all of these tools and the ability to access them that easily is what does it for me. And again, it is all finely made. It just works very smoothly. I'm being completely honest, this is more smooth than my actual latest purchase from Leatherman, the Leatherman Charge. This required a lot of working because it just wasn't smoothened out. So this required a lot, and I mean a lot of messing around, finding ways of, opening and then closing it 1,000 times until it finally got smooth enough that I'm okay with it, and now it's fine. It's there. But this was already like that out of the box. It just was butter smooth right out of the box. You have your clip, you have your single-handed opening blade, straight blade on one side, you have your serrated sheepfoot blade on the other, you have your saw, which works well for striking a fire steel, you have your diamond-coated file, everything locks just like in your Leatherman. And that is, that is the beauty, either locking here with a liner lock or a back lock for some of the tools on the inside. On the inside, we have pliers, same bit in case you mess one of these up. You can change those, pretty sure for the ones from Leatherman because they're pretty much the same thing, right? As you can appreciate there. So you can exchange that. It's removable. You probably can even sharpen it and fix it yourself. But on the inside, you have the updated or just more standardized driver bit that can just go right in there. And on the other side, you have your can opener, wire stripper, bottle opener. You have your small flat screwdriver. It's not exchangeable because that's a little bit of a complex, expensive part. And there's really just losing the mini Phillips screwdriver, which often enough the flat will work in those tiny little screws. So it's not that much of a big deal. I understand how cutting costs is more of a priority here. You have your large flat screwdriver that also works like a little prying tool there. And you have the very nice scissors. These are very well made, copied from the Leatherman ones, and they're strong. They're pretty solid. In spite of being compact, you want to have your scissors there. Those will get the job done just fine. And that is it, guys. You just have your Leatherman Bibury thing for 25 bucks. You're not spending 250 bucks. Will this replace my Leatherman? No. I can afford to have my Leatherman. Yes, it would suck if I lose it, but having had that experience over the years, given how this has been always my most crucial tool all over, living in different countries, traveling different places, having different experience, shooting, doing stuff, and getting into little things, and even some more complicated ones. This has always, gotten the job done for me, and I don't feel the need to compromise. Now, everyone has their own different budget. If I was limited in my budget, yeah, I will go with this. I mean, this is one that I'm giving to one of my kids, and I know that's going to be doing pretty much anything that the Leatherman does. So, yeah, someone that may end up losing it, maybe a little bit of a more restricted budget, all day long. The Bibury Leatherman clone will do that just fine. And it is an excellent clone in terms of how well manufactured it is. Is this fancy steel? No, but neither is the Wave. If you want fancy steel, you only have fancy steel here on the blade. And is it that much of a big deal? No, it's not. Yeah, after 20 years of using the same tool, yes, I have sharpened this a lot, and if it hadn't been less of a steel, maybe it would have been worn out a little bit more, or maybe a lot more. But for most practical applications, the 420 HC or whatever the hell it is they use here will do just fine. It will cut. It is razor sharp. It's a decent sized blade, and I couldn't be happier, and I couldn't recommend it enough. I've been using it for a while now. My kid, again, I recently gave it to my son for him to have as his personal multi-tool. And yeah, that's it, guys. As always, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Leave your comments there below. Share, hit that notification bell button. See you next time. Take care.